Hello, my name is Helena Murphy, and I am from Rocky Mountain House, and I acknowledge that I live on the Treaty 6. Treaty 6 covers part of Alberta and Saskatchewan, acknowledging the Cree and Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux, along with the Inuit who have been here for many generations. I would also like to acknowledge the elders that are here to continually educate us on their way of life and the importance of the land. One phrase I found while doing research was the phrase that we are all treaty people. The idea that we all have the right and obligation to respect the land that we have chosen to live on. This was interesting to me since I did not realize I lived on treaty land. I knew that treaties were made, but my understanding was that they pertained to reserves only. While doing research, I looked into the history of Treaty 6 and the history of the reserves that I live close to. I found that there are 11 treaties across Canada, with Treaties 6, 7, and 8 covering most of Alberta. I also discovered that there was two main reasons for the signing of this treaty. Firstly, the British Crown wanted to lay claim over the land, and secondly, the First Nations were concerned with the survival of their people regarding the lack of food and all the diseases, and they believed that the Crown could help them in return. They were promised several things like land, money, farm equipment, animals, schooling, the right to hunt, medicine chest, and rations in time of famine. Treaty 6 was first signed in 1876 at several forts, where there was hesitation from elders to sign, which they had the right to do so, since our government hasn't always been able to help and keep their end of the deal. I acknowledge that our government and settlers have changed the economy, ecologies, livelihood, and the well-being of the First Nations. But the signatures of the First Nation leaders started to align one by one as they went west. One interesting fact that I learned was that the two reserves close to Rocky Mountain House were actually the last two to sign the treaty in 1944 and in 1950. We have three reserves that are close to Rocky Mountain House. Bighorn, which was actually formed north of Morley in 1948. Then we have Sunchild and Ochese, who formed later west of us. The Ochese came from various areas who traveled west for trapping. Many came from the plains of the Saulteaux people, which in French meant people of the rapids. Another interesting fact about Rocky Mountain House was how the Northwest Company built a fur trading post here in 1799 in hopes to trade with the Kanaha. The Hudson Bay Company operated for a while, rebuilding it 3 times, later abandoning it in 1875. So really the foundation of which my hometown was built was a fur trading post, which I think many people do not realize or take time to acknowledge. I think it is also important to acknowledge how the settlers came here and invaded the First Nations lands, then tried to claim the land through these treaties. Learning about the history of where I've lived has been an eye-opener, but I think I can take this further, especially in trying to become a teacher. We now have the chance to teach the next generation on how to appreciate the land. I also think this is a good reminder to go outside and appreciate the world that is changing so fast around us.